Hello and welcome to my channel Python and Ubuntu. Today's question is how to insert a variable inside a string. Now let's say we have a template as below. Dear, we insert a name here. Your appointment has been booked on a particular date at a particular time. Please make sure to reach 15 minutes before the appointed time. Now how can I add name, date and time for different bookings using the same template? That is a question. So let's look at this. Let's first print this out. Okay, let's print this out. Let's remove this initially. I'll explain why. Now when you're printing it out, you can see that it's not in the proper format. It's not in the template. You can see that after name the sentence continues, but I want it in the second line. So what can we do? One method is you can insert an escape sequence, and that is you put a backslash and n. Now if you run it, what happens is that you can see that it comes down. Okay, it goes to the second line. But even better method is by using triple quotes. Now what do you mean by that? Just let's write print, and now I'm pressing single quotes 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Now if we copy, let's copy this and paste it here. You can remove this escape sequence and you just press enter. You can see that it has done what we want. But even better is, let's enter here also and run it again. Now that looks much better. Now let's stick with that. Now let's come to the real question. How can I use this template for different persons? Now let's create 3 variables. Let's start with name equal to, just put it in quotes, Mr. say Suresh. Then we move on to date. Date is equal to say 19th July 2020. Now next one is time. Time equal to, let's say 10 AM. Okay, these are the 3 variables that we require. Now I'm going to show you one of the easiest way to do this. Then we'll move on to the usual way that others use. This method is only applicable if your Python is updated beyond 3.6. If it is 3.6 or above, then only this function will work. So it's one of the good reasons to update your Python. Now let's copy this. Let's paste it here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to insert curly braces here. I'm going to remove the parenthesis and I'm going to insert curly braces here. Okay. Now let's run this just for the sake of it. Okay. You can say that there is no much change. Actually, this is not what we decided. Now that is because we have missed out on one single detail, after which the technique is named, and the technique name is known as f-string literal or f-strings in general. And what we have to do is you have to insert an f here. That's the only thing that you need to do. Insert an f there, and if you run it again, you can see that now we have the desired answer. Dear Mr. Suresh, your appointment has been booked on 19th July 2020 at 10 AM. Please make sure to reach 15 minutes before the appointed time. Now let's change the name, date and time. Okay, let's change this to something like, say, Miss Kirti, who has an appointment on maybe 28th of July 2020, and let's put it afternoon, say 1:30 PM. The only thing that you need to do is run this and run this again. You can see that, dear Miss Kirti, your appointment has been booked on 28th July 2020 at 1:30 PM. This is one of the easiest method that is known as, let's write the name again, that is f strings. This is the method name, and this is only available for version of Python which is above 3.6. so Python version now. What if your version is not 3.6 or above? Now if you are stuck with a version which is below this, you can use the following method. Okay, you use almost the same format. The only difference is that you cannot directly put the name, date or time inside this. You go for the dot format method, and that is you write exactly the same thing. Let's copy this again. Okay, but inside you wouldn't write the name, you just leave it blank. Let's do this, leave this blank. Then after the sentence is over, after the string, you put dot, then you write format, then you put parenthesis and you write 3 variables: name, date and time. Now let's run this. Okay, there's an issue. Okay, sorry, I forgot to remove the f string. So let's remove f. Now let's run this again. Okay. See, dear Ms. Kirti, your open magazine booked on 28th July 2020 at 1:30 p.m. Now what is the issue with this? Now this looks simple enough because you are only changing 3 variables and the sentence is also small. Now what if this was a one huge paragraph and you have to replace at least 5 or 6 of them? Then you have to make sure that this is in the correct order. I'll show you just now what happens if it is not. I'm going to change. If you accidentally write like this, date, time, comma, name, and run this, you can see that this is not what we want. And this issue doesn't happen with f strings because we're literally putting the name or the date or the time where it is required. So there is no possibility of confusion in that. Now what if you have written this? There is one way around this. Now if you can see that it's date, time and name, and it's always index positioned. So date has a position of index 0, time has a position of index 1 and name has a position of index 2. Now you can do this. So here we need name which is at position 2, booked on. You need date here which is at 0 and time here 1. If you do this, you'll still get the correct answer. So this is one way around this, but there is a huge possibility that you can jumble this out. You can get confused with dot format method. So preferably you always go for f strings method. So if you ever want to use or insert a variable inside a string, you either go for the f strings method or dot format method.